Yeah. Finally, something good to talk about. Welcome to the PHNX Sun Devils post-game show, brought to you by the one and only DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download now using code PHNX to get $150 in free bets when you place just $1 or more on any football game. I'm Shane Diefenbach. Brittany will be here in a second. There's some audio stuff going on, and she will be here soon. But Sun Devils fans, get in the comments. How are we feeling? Finally, something worth talking about, and not in any bad way. I genuinely was very impressed. This was one of the first times that I saw an ASU team put something complete together, and I was able to highlight more good than bad on my good and bad chart. There's more good than there's bad to talk about tonight. So I'm super excited to get into it. Got a celebratory White Claw. But yeah, let's just let's start with what Jaden looked like in the pocket, outside of the pocket, everything that was going on. 0 second half points after a mediocre first half defensively. That's the biggest thing to me, was this defense that stepped up, especially in the red zone. Obviously, there was huge stops going down, and an unsung or an unlikely hero at the end of the game by Eric Gentry, the freshman, that came in flying and read that RPO perfectly that had been killing the Devils all night. But man, there are so many people that stepped up in this game. We'll get to each one by one. But at the start, in that first quarter, it really, really felt like it was going to be another scary late game situation that was caused by self-sabotage. But speaking of self-sabotage, we played a self-sabotager tonight. The Devils faced themselves, and not in the way that the Devils have been facing themselves before, when it's ASU versus ASU. There were a lot of penalties, a lot of drops, some weird play calling on UCLA's end, but the most important part was the Devils were able to capitalize on those, and that was huge for this team. The running backs, as always. The thing that sets this running back core apart from everybody else in the NCAA right now, especially in the Pac-12, is how patient they are finding holes. Jaden does this too. Rashad White, Chip, they're so patient. They don't just run right into the teeth of the defense, and it speaks volumes for how great of a mind is behind some of these guys, how experienced they are for their age. The patience that led to another Rashad White touchdown. Jaden, and on that last drive that kind of sealed it. It was beautiful. I mean, I really, really enjoyed what I saw on the offensive end in that second half. And it didn't look like they were going to be able to execute on these unforced errors that UCLA was making. But I mean, Jaden, just such a natural runner. He had some Russell Wilson type moon balls tonight to Ricky Pearsall. Curtis Hodges showed up at the end of the game. I mean, everybody was contributing. LV Bunkley Shelton threw a couple great blocks, surprisingly, especially on that screen pass. And let me see what Brittany's saying. She says, tell the viewers StreamYard is being a effing dick. So viewers, that's what's happening to Brittany right now. She'll be in here as soon as she can. But it's a real win, Sun Devils fans. It's a real complete win. And there isn't much else to say about this team right now other than I'm excited. Yeah, Jaden was dropping bombs tonight. This was a Jaden Daniels that I'm sure he missed, but Sun Devils fans definitely missed. He's a great runner, and I say this a lot. He's a great runner, but he doesn't want to be known as a runner. He wants to be that pocket guy that can escape like Russell Wilson does, like the greats do, like all good quarterbacks with legs do. They're a quarterback. That's what their position is. They throw the football, and he was using that as a last resort almost, and he was taking what the defense was giving him. And I mean, he's just so composed. He's been composed since he was a true freshman, and it keeps building on it and building on it. And the 3 interceptions versus the 2 touchdowns that he had coming into this game, it shows that he takes that seriously. And Jaden's the hardest person on himself. I do think this was his best overall game since his freshman year when he faced Oregon. Yeah, I'm juiced right now. Let's talk defense. Let's talk Darren Butler. Let's talk DJ Davidson. Darren Butler is strong, and DJ Davidson is large. Darren Butler reminds me a lot of Jamal Adams, the way he flies around the field. He's that plug and play kind of guy. And if he gets his hands on you, you're not getting out of the tackle. He's so strong, so physical, and really smart with the way he reads the ball, and especially the RPOs with a guy like DTR in the backfield. ASU should be ranked after this win. The BYU loss is looking better and better as they continue to win. But I'd be very, very surprised if ASU wasn't ranked after this. Corners, again, some shaky play in the first half. But I think they were kind of handicapping themselves by not bringing a ton of pressure the whole game. You saw that on third down, the 3rd and 3 in the third quarter, I believe, when they brought pressure. Brittany is here. Let's go. Brittany.
Dude, okay, I don't know what you talked about. First and foremost, I would be remiss if I didn't say, fuck you, StreamYard. This is like the 3rd time this has done this to me for my own live show, and I can't get on. And then I have to come out to my desktop, which takes forever to start up because I'm not anticipating I'm going to have to get on this. And then it just slows my whole process down. So, hello.
If
Great
this was a
win, though.
Yeah, if this was a loss, I'd assume you would be a lot more mad right now.
I honestly probably would be okay with it because I'd be like, I don't want to get on here and talk about this. But I'm like excited, so I want to come talk about this. And I'm like, God, come on, computer. Yeah. So yes, hey, how welcome. About them Devils though?
Oh yeah, I was kind of touching on everything. I was sprinkling back and forth, responding to some comments. I was talking about the defense before you joined. I was saying that
bend don't break defense. Yep. That's the shit I like. I'm okay with them going down to the red zone and giving up 3 points if that's what they have to take, but it's still not the 7 that they would have given up in the past. And I think there's been a huge improvement overall, really, in the last couple weeks. I think maybe that BYU loss was what the team needed to humble them, but I was pretty impressed with the defense once things started getting rolling, and especially in the second half. I mean, they didn't allow UCLA to score at all in the second half, and I think that's absolutely phenomenal, especially when you look at what a Chip Kelly coached team normally is able to do, and really how explosive their offense has been all year.
Yeah, and the thing that really, really juices me up is what we talked about. They got a little bit of a feel last week of it. That kind of swagger that starts to build on itself. The defense starts building stops together. That first drive touchdown in the second half really started that, and then they got the goal line stand, and then they got the ball back, and that's the swag that keeps building on itself. It's something that this ASU team needs, and even when they're on the road, they showed that they can get to that point and elevate. So I was very, very impressed with that.
And I said on Friday's show when I picked against ASU, you were really surprised, but I really was just not sure if they were going to be able to put everything together into one package on the field. And I said I would eat my words, which I'm going to. But I'm blown away. I did it all.
I said it. I said it early in the week, and it came true. The matchup was the biggest thing for me. I think both these teams were pretty equally talented. They have a great running quarterback in DTR, a really well coached team. Their defense is okay. It was a lot better than it usually is against the pass tonight. But to me, the only having to focus on stopping DTR in that run game, I thought ASU was able to do that. And it was getting a little scary in the first half because the thing you can't do with this UCLA team is let them get a lead because they have trouble playing from behind. And it showed. They can't open their playbook to whatever they want when they're down, 2 scores in the third quarter. And once you start bringing pressure, the DTR's strong suit isn't getting the ball out quickly. It's waiting for the read and running when he needs to. But yeah, the defense, it was complete in that second half. And again, the swag, it showed. The corners were getting juice, some big hits. Darren Butler flying across the field. Some young guys stepping up, as I mentioned earlier. And Eric Gentry on the goal line, reading that read option. It's something you really just love to see as a Sun Devils fan.
And it really is. And, without Evan Fields out there tonight, there was a kind of a bit of a question as to who was going to step up, because Fields is a guy who does a lot of that work right there, getting those big stops. And so for him to come out as a freshman and have that kind of performance, it says a lot about him and what his future and his potential is. But kind of just about, I guess the culture that they're starting to bring back to the program of helping each other work harder, truly pushing each other to be better, and not just saying it, but practicing what you preach every single day in, day out. And, not just because you're trying to look the part, but actually because it's what you're supposed to do when you're committed to doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, one thing I touched on before you joined was how ASU, this was the first time they played themselves, but not in the way they've been doing it. They played another self-sabotaging team. And one play I want to highlight that kind of exemplifies that is their UCLA's first drive in the second half on a third down. It was a 3rd and 3. And I don't know if it was a weird play call by Chip Kelly or it was the wrong read by DTR, but he aired it out into double coverage, and that got broken up. And then ASU ended up getting the ball back. And that was kind of the swing for me. I thought that stop, getting the ball back, juicing up this defense and firing up the offense to go want to score again, even though they didn't after that. I thought it was a huge turning point, because it not only takes away faith in UCLA's offense, but it instills faith in ASU's defense. And as I keep saying, the juice just builds on each other and it boils up. And in the fourth quarter, I mean, still, when it was a 9-point game, it felt like the game was over.
Yeah, it really did. I felt like at that point the game already was put away as well. I mean, I think you kind of just know with how both teams are able to run the clock out, unless something really, really wild were to happen. It was
which isn't out of the question with ASU.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something that I felt like a big defining moment that I saw was the fumble recovery early on that ASU's defense had.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because if they wouldn't have gotten that recovery, and they fought for that, because UCLA looked like they had it. He dove in there and ripped it out and somehow came up with it. And I know ASU was only able to put 3 points on the board, but still I think of that as, UCLA's offense did start out pretty hot. So if they would have been able to continue that again,
absolutely.
I just feel like at least ASU's defense was able to break up that rhythm a little bit, put 3 points of their own back on the board, match it, and, kind of at least get in their heads a little bit.
Yeah. Jay Karch, that unnecessary roughness was very ASU-like. I saw that, and on the replay when they showed it, the line judge was standing in the middle of the field staring at him, and he just dove. It was bizarre. It was a very ASU level mistake, and it's almost a little weird to be on the other side of it, but it gives you a warm feeling in your heart knowing that this team can capitalize on mistakes. Because Brittany, after they recovered that fumble that you were talking about, you saw how pessimistic I was when I was texting you. I was like, it's not a turnover.
It's not enough. And I was like, it's a start. It's a start.
It's an unforced turnover. Yeah, we'll touch on the special team mistakes in a second.
We'll
talk about the bad. We'll talk about the bad later. Let's get the good out first. But yeah, I was very pessimistic because, as you said, if they continue that drive and score, I feel like the game is over. I was telling people I was watching the game with, I was like, listen, like this game is over if they go get a touchdown right now. The ASU can't stop them. They don't know what to do. And obviously I was probably being a little dramatic, but at the same time, it kind of did feel like that, that this bend, don't break offense was like a wooden ruler that doesn't bend at all. And it just snaps.
Yeah. But what I did feel like we saw from ASU's offense tonight was really, really great play calling by Zach Hill. This is exactly what we have wanted to see his playbook come to life. Jaden Daniels looked absolutely phenomenal. We saw Ricky Pearsall step up as a huge receiver. My big question right now is he going to be ASU's next guy? At this point, it's looking like it's trending that way because every week he's starting to do a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. And, you know, I think it's great. I think he also has a little bit of that hometown connection, that hometown feel. He went to Corona del Sol. He's a Tempe kid. So I think that there's a little bit of extra additional motivation that lies within that factor for him to thrive and to exceed on the field or succeed. I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But I do want to talk about this question, Jay Karch. I was screaming this when DTR would get out of the pocket. I was screaming because they had a lot of contain going, but there was no spy. I mean, there were some spies occasionally, but for the most part, that was not the game plan. I think the game plan was to keep him in the pocket and not let him scramble to outside of the tackles. But what he was doing was he was just running up the middle. So I was losing my mind because Merlin would set up there or Darren Butler would set up in the middle of the field. And then it looked like they were playing a spy, but they were just playing like a deep hook or something in the middle, like a 10-yard hook, and then they'd follow a receiver, and that's when he would break out. So, I mean, ASU won. So I'm not going to be the one to say like, no, this is like they should have had a spy for sure. But I would have liked to see what would have happened. Maybe Herm knows something we don't. Maybe taking that corner that would have been in coverage as that spy, or the linebacker that wouldn't have been able to drop back because he is a spy, would have hurt what the game plan was and what they were trying to take away. But I do agree, I do question it as well. I wonder what that idea was with the spy. But as we're talking about now on a post-game win show, it turned out all right.
You want to know what I wondered during the game? What in the hell is Herm Edwards doing with the clock half the time? Like, and I bring this up because it's something that I feel like is ironic because I find myself saying it more and more recently. And I know he likes to manage the clock. Sorry, I have a hair that's like wrapped in my glasses and poking me in the eyes. He manages the clock like an NFL coach, which is I get it, but it's not the NFL, it's college, and you got to do things a little bit different. And so I don't always necessarily like how he just waits and waits and waits. And then it's like, we're in rush mode because we got to get shit done. That's not the way that I feel like they should be playing. So, you know, I don't know where I was going with this. I got lost. What was I saying?
No, let's go to the bad now.
I was saying something though. What was I saying?
You were talking about the on and off, and when it comes to the special teams, I don't know where you were going with it.
I don't think that's what I was saying. I don't think I was saying special teams.
All right, let's move on, Brittany. Let's talk about.
I can't remember, but it was important.
Well, if you remember it, we'll bring it up.
This is the story of my life. Half the time my brain doesn't work. I didn't take an Adderall today. I have no fuck. Yeah, my focus is gone. Like my concentration level doesn't exist.
Let's talk bad. As we said, fast start for that UCLA offense. It looked bad. And then the first of two really bad plays by DJ Taylor, the kick return. Well, he caught the ball, ran.
Those were terrible.
Sideways, and then decided to take it out. And it'd be one thing if he gets to the 20, because it's not the 25, it's the 20 in college. But he didn't even get close that time. And then on the second time he did it, he didn't get close either. And then obviously the muffed punt, which was, it was a total brain fart. And I get why he is the main return guy. You saw him not come out for the punts. It was Bunkley Shelton.
Bailey got it. Herm running the clock. We'll go back to that in a second. Continue.
There we go. Yeah. So that was one of the worst things I saw was the brain fart, and how they kind of oversee the potential of what DJ Taylor can do when he's returning the ball, as opposed to him being, a young guy who makes mistakes. But I like the confidence in him. Just you got to talk. Someone's got to get figured out, because he's made some pretty boneheaded plays so far this year.
Yeah, he makes good ones that almost make up for the bad ones, but the bad ones are still ingrained in your head, so you still remember those ones too. So then you sit there and you're like,
all right, get to your Herm running the clock.
Yeah, okay, anyway, so I don't understand how he runs the clock half the time. Going back to that, I used to always complain about Todd Graham and how he was just piss poor at clock management, right? And I almost feel like Herm is bad, but it's hard to say he's bad when you compare it to Todd Graham. but they're both bad just in different ways. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. It was something I thought about earlier.
It was really bizarre to me because, as Jay Cards brings up, he called the timeout after third down, but then when it was fourth, he decided not to call it and let the clock run down, which is weird to me because the only defense I have was, I believe it was 4th and 5 maybe. So maybe it was the thought that there's going to be only 14 seconds left on the clock, so they wouldn't go for it because they wouldn't have enough time to end up getting points. But if you call a timeout with 40 seconds left, then if they pick up the first down, then there might be enough time to, the clock stops after you get the first down and then go get a field goal or whatever. That's the only defense I have. But if that's your idea, then just don't call the first timeout on third down. It's a little bizarre, but it's kind of a minuscule thing. If they wouldn't have muffed the punt, it would be non-existent. It wouldn't have mattered, but ultimately it did, unfortunately. And then it didn't because they won.
It was just one of those things that left me sitting there like questioning again, because this isn't the first time that I've been there this year, and then I was also there last year and the season before that. So it's like one of those things that just keeps coming up, but it's not one of the things that's glaring enough that it sits in the forefront of your mind where you're always thinking about like, that's really an area of concern. But sometimes it pops up and you're like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah. The unfortunate targeting on Soley in the third quarter.
That was not a good call. Even I don't always feel like the commentators are right, but even the commentators were in agreement that was a terrible call.
Well, yeah, they brought Blandino on. I still think it should have been targeting because he did hit him in the head. I don't think it should have been an ejection. But with a guy like DTR, it's impossible to know if he's going to juke or slide, because when they showed that slow-mo replay, even in slow motion, he puts his foot in the ground at first and then decides to slide. So it looks like he's going to cut left, and there's just nothing you can do as a defender, and that it's the rule. And I completely understand and agree with that the rule should be in place because the head and neck hits are very dangerous. But if you put yourselves in a linebacker or corner shoes that's flying at the quarterback downfield, I mean, it's impossible. It's a bang play. There's not much you can do except for keep your head up and try to avoid the head. But even then, it's really hard. So that was an unfortunate thing. But
one of those things.
Yeah, I think that
it's part
that might
of the
have
game.
been
You're going to get calls like that sometimes, but I'm not a fan of that one, especially like just in that situation. I really just thought it was a bad call.
I think that might have been one of the only low points of that second half. There were so many parts on the bad segment on my notes, and they almost all stopped at the end of the first half. A lot of what ASU was doing that was scaring me in the first half was they were getting gift after gift. The missed field goal that they didn't capitalize on, the drops, and then they would get too many men on the field. They had 3 of those. Luckily, they cleaned those up.
That was something that I was thinking too. Why are they having such an issue defensively getting everything like set up to go? Like, how are these substitutions messing with you guys that much? Are you that not prepared right now? And then they ended up, whatever they did at halftime, they came back out and they looked light years better.
They looked like a completely different team.
Gave up no points.
Looked like a completely different team. And yeah, I really wonder what that miscommunication or disconnect is, because I believe one of them was Rashad White trying to get off of the field, or maybe it was Chip. It was one of the running backs. And I'm curious to know. I want to get in the minds of the players or the coaches, and I want to know. I almost wish it was the players' faults, because it'd be worse if it was the coaching staff. So I just want to know where that comes from and how that's happening. Again, in week 5, I don't want to keep saying this. How is this happening in week blank every week? But I mean, man, it's just not. Yes, Low Tone Capone, let's fucking go. Yes, bring that energy, baby. Let's go. I'm still super juiced.
I'm excited about the win. I think it's a big win. I think we really need to touch on the fact that under Herm Edwards, ASU has never been 2-0 to start out conference play. Ever since Herm Edwards has arrived, they've dropped their first conference game of the season every year except this year. So winning against Colorado was huge in that aspect in itself. Then you throw on a road win against UCLA, making it 2-0. That's going to be really big. And I think if they're able to make it 3-0 this upcoming week against Stanford, that might be a definitive turning point in terms of really solidifying their spot as they push towards being the Pac-12 South winners and ultimately going to be hopefully the Pac-12 South champions later on. But I think it's going to be a turning point because it's going to be a short turnaround. They got to be ready for a Friday night game. And this Stanford team is somebody that, for the past 2 years before this, I felt like Stanford was really hard to figure out on a week-to-week basis. And then this year, I feel like they're finally a little bit more solid. They had a couple rough weeks at the beginning, but then they've just been on a tear ever since that upset over USC, I think that coming into this game for them, it's going to be a lot to prepare for, because if you pay attention to Stanford, they really don't have much depth to begin with. It's really hard for them to get as many guys on scholarship there because not as many kids meet their academic standards that they set. And then when you're already that small and that depleted, and then you also factor in with everything that happened last year with the transfer portal, kids weren't really transferring into Stanford. They were transferring out. And then they got really banged up in today's game against Oregon. I mean, yes, they pulled off a huge win. Hats off to Stanford. By the way, if you watch that game, it reminded me of Christmas, especially with, Stanford's stupid tree. That was like the icing on top of the cake
so much
Christmas thing. But yeah, it's like, they're gonna have a lot to overcome. They have a short week of practice. They're back on the road. It's gonna be a lot for Stanford to come into this game. I personally, after ASU's victory tonight against UCLA, feel very positive going into this game on a short turnaround week.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be fired up, obviously, after upsetting Oregon. As Low Tone Capone pointed out, their starting quarterback did get injured the play before they sent it into overtime, I believe. So there's nothing on that yet, I don't think. But I mean, they're on top of the world right now. And that's not
their only injury. They have a lot of injuries to their defense right now, which I think ASU should be able to capitalize on, especially with now that we've seen what. Hi, Mike. Especially now that we've seen everything that they're starting to be able to do with this Zach Hill offense, now that they're starting to get a little bit more acclimated and acquainted with each other and with him and with his playbook, getting back into, the loud environment. And that's another thing I think ASU did really well with the sound tonight. They're home next week before they're back on the road at Utah. And I think Utah is going to be more hostile than UCLA was in terms of the noise level. So I think that they're going to have a little bit of a test concerning that. But, for now, they're not going to have to worry about that too much coming back home. So I think it's going to be good. I'm excited for what their game plan is for this week. I'm excited to get out to practice, see how things go. And yeah.
Yeah, one thing I forgot to mention earlier that was understated. So not only Eric Gentry, the true freshman linebacker, making that huge goal line stand on DTR, but the play before that, Jordan Clark coming in at corner for one of the few times he played. He had one of the most unbelievable wrap-ups I've seen on not only a player, but especially a guy like DTR, who is so impossible to bring down. Low Tone Capone, was terrified to bet on the over. I didn't touch the over under because of how much these teams can run the ball. I was honestly kind of scared that UCLA would take the lead and run, but that brings me into our sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook. It's America's top-rated sportsbook. If you want to bet the over or the under in any football game, you can head over to their sportsbook app. It's fantastic, super easy to use, safe, it's secure, it's reliable, and the best part is you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want. So download that DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code PHNX, get $150 in free bets instantly when you place just $1 or more on any football game this week, no matter what. 21 plus, Arizona only, gambling problem, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. New customers only, minimum $5 deposit and $1 wager required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you think I'm sweating right now, it is because I am, because I had ASU money line parlayed with Fresno State covering, and they just completely exploded. They're down 27-24 and with 2 minutes to go. And I made that bet on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. So if you want to make bets like this and sweat at 11:36 p.m. with me, go ahead and download that app. It's super fun, super easy to use. And get some free money to play around with. Makes this a little bit easier rather than me sweating, drinking a White Claw in my room, talking to you at 11:36.
Well, if you want to shave your balls with no issues, you should use our promo code and sign up for Manscaped. Use the code PHNX when you go to manscaped.com and you'll get 20% off plus free shipping. I don't know any other way to segment into that. My care package game. I don't have balls to shave of my own, but I do have this trimmer to use for this. So I'm just going to go with it for that.
Well, not only is it a fantastic product that Manscaped delivers, I also got my care package. But right now you can get 20% off and free shipping with the code PHNX at manscaped.com.
Oh, you mean exactly what I said at the beginning?
Yeah, but I wanted to read this part. That's why. Actually, I also had my headphones off because I was terrified for what you're going to say next. Slay your worst pubes and keep your dagger clean with Manscaped. Yeah, get that. It's super fun. It's not super fun. That's DraftKings. DraftKings is super fun.
Well,
Manscaped could be super fun.
Super fun to shave your balls with these hair trimmers.
It is actually because of the LED light that's on it. Yeah, it makes it really easy. So yeah, head over to Manscaped, use that code PHNX, get 20% off and free shipping. Only at manscaped.com.
What are you sipping on tonight?
I got a White Claw, black cherry.
I got my Dogfish Head Brewery.
Nice.
That I was talking about, those vodka soda, blueberry, whatever, blueberry shrub.
This is more
really good.
This is more of a prop than anything. I'm just gonna go to bed right after this, I think.
I've had one. This is still half full, and I have more work to do, so I'm gonna stay up and just work.
Speaking of work, are you writing Postgame right now?
I'm about to start. That's exactly what I'm going to do.
Where can they find that when it's posted?
You can find that on gophnx.com. Make sure you get over there, sign up. It's a little bit late, but my next story on the ASU Sleeping Giant series should be up by tomorrow. After sitting down and talking with some people about it, I felt like I needed a little bit more of something to add to this one before putting it out there, in terms of really bringing everything around full circle for this first story. So I got that today, and I didn't want to publish it during the game because I felt like that was just a terrible time to put something like that up. So it'll be going up tomorrow, and I'll be sharing it on social media for you, and I hope you guys look out for it and read it and share your thoughts with me on it because I worked a ton with it. And hell yeah, low Tone Capone to Jim Beam.
Yes, sir. If you want to catch some whiskey sipping tomorrow morning, top of the morning for you. 9 a.m. I'll be on the tailgate show that we do, and we'll probably do another shot of whiskey to start. It's a fun show, and you can support me because my turnaround is god awful. It starts at 9. The office is like 45 minutes away from me, so I got to drive in. Enough about me. Let's talk more ASU. Closing thoughts. What was your favorite part of the night watching from your couch or wherever you watched? And I want answers in the chat from you guys too. Yeah, I love that.
Ricky Pearsall, I love the fact that he's a local kid. I really feel like his game where he came into himself was last year against U of A. That was really where he was able to kind of stand out and make a name for himself. At least a little bit. He was able to finally do a little bit more work, and we heard his name called a little bit more in the game against U of A. And I really thought it was significant because of the game that he did it in, because he's a local kid, and then seeing him come into this year, and yes, he did have a drop pass tonight, and he's had a couple other drop passes this year, but he really did have huge clutch plays tonight for really long touchdowns. And he just looked phenomenal. He looked like out of every receiver on the team, he looked like his catches were the most significant so far in terms of advancing ASU in any game that they've really been in. Curtis Hodges had a really good catch a couple weeks ago. LV Bunkley Shelton had a couple, but I just think being able to put two of them together in tonight's game for those enormous touchdowns, The fact that he's a local kid, I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of his performance tonight. I think he
Yeah.
would get my vote for outstanding performance of the night.
That's why he's on the thumbnail, baby. Speaking of Pearsall, so obviously it was a great play call, the screen, his first touchdown. Before I talk about that, the drop you've mentioned, that was the first time he was targeted, I believe, in the game that he dropped it. After that, no drops. So I love that type of player that puts it behind him. But the screen that was called, not only was it a great play call, but it was a perfect read and a good block thrown by LV Bunkley Shelton. He faked outside, chose the right way by going inside, and then his speed took him the rest of the way. And my favorite part about that play was it wasn't actually the play itself, but after the touchdown and the extra point, they cut to the sidelines, and the first thing you saw was Pearsall going over to Bunkley Shelton and giving him props for that block, which is awesome because it's a really, really underrated thing that receivers are good at. Some receivers, a receiver that is also a good blocker, the beautiful package.
Yeah, I mean, that's like tight ends. I mean, I love a tight end. I love me a tight end that actually gets some action and can block.
Yeah.
I know like Gronk was a wildcat, but he is one of like my favorite tight ends to this day still. Just his ability and what he does on the field, but that's also why he's so beat up and has a back of like a 90-year-old. But hey.
Yeah, let's get to some of these favorites. First one I saw was that goal line stand. Yes, that got me so fired up. I stood up. I did a little dancey dance. I was stoked. Yeah, as we mentioned, two pretty unexpected heroes came through for that stop. And I just thought it was so fun with seeing Eric Gentry and Jordan Clark be those guys when people like Darren Butler and Merlin was kind of quiet tonight, but people like Darren Butler and Chase Lucas and Jack Jones.
Merlin wasn't making a ton of noise, but
he was always in the play.
Sometimes.
He was always in the play. That's all that matters. He didn't show up much on the stat sheet, but he was always disrupting the run game. Bailey says the bombs thrown by Jaden. His deep ball was perfect tonight. I mean, it cannot get any better than that. The Gordion Porter throw to start the game was one of the best balls I've seen him throw at ASU.
I was shocked he caught that.
Yeah,
I was like going insane. I was like,
great adjustment. Yeah, it was a great ball, but a really good adjustment. That type of ball is so hard to throw. I mean, of course it is, but it's even harder than it looks because you have to throw it so high that it drops straight down.
Put it out there. Jaden makes it look pretty easy, though.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he makes everything look easy. The way he runs so like obviously he's patient, but he runs so smooth. It doesn't even look like he's running fast. Like if you just took him like in a black void and you didn't see anything behind him running or moving, you wouldn't know how fast he was running. You'd think he was jogging. He's just so smooth with everything. He's always so composed, and he shows that in his running style, and I love it. He's just such a fun quarterback to root for. Jake Hart says
he brings a lot of energy and a lot of intensity.
Yeah. That 95-yard drive that was near the 7-minute the 95 that was near the 7-minute yard drive for the fourth quarter goal line stand. So right after the goal line stand, that long ass drive. Yeah.
Shane texts me and goes, "They have to score here."
Yeah. I believe Curtis Hodges was the one that started that drive. Oh my God. Speaking of play calling, how much faith do you have to have in your quarterback to call a designed quarterback rollout when you're backed up on your own 2-yard line? And Jaden delivered threw a strike to Curtis Hodges, and that started that 7-minute drive. Stay disciplined. Yes, they stayed disciplined on that drive, and it was great to see. I loved that drive. It was exactly what ASU fans have been wanting. Again, capitalizing on mistakes, capitalizing on a big stop, keeping that momentum on your back. As Brittany said, I texted her. I was like, this needs to be a scoring drive. They need to score, because if they don't, that stop means nothing, and UCLA is right back in this game. Bailey says, I think a big factor.
ASU did have a lot more big offensive plays than UCLA did. A lot more explosive plays. As they said during the broadcast, if you guys were listening, ASU's defense has not plays more than 40 yards this year. That's kind of a stat that they tend to keep from year to year. I think last year they might have given up a couple plays in the I don't know. I think it was the USC game. They gave up a big play like that. last year. I'm not 100% sure, but they normally are one of the few remaining teams that is yet to give up a play of 40 yards or more by about the midway point in the season. So it's nice to see that once again this year they're back on that same stat page right up there again, especially all the other troubles that they kind of have been dealing with and have been struggling with. So
one thing about the fast start that actually gives me a lot of hope in this defense, especially team defense as a whole, is how hopeless it almost looked at the start when UCLA was getting whatever they wanted. And a defense that's able to adjust is what it takes to be an elite level defense. And I thought they adjusted really well by kind of giving DTR that room to run. But again, the bend don't break mentality you saw in the second half, and that's where good defense turns to great defense. And I thought they were a great defense in that second half.
Second half performance by ASU was pretty much just lights out in most senses of the word. I mean, it's about the best football. Those are the best 2 quarters of football ASU has played all year this year, in my opinion.
So kind of in the same vein, but give me your biggest takeaway from this game tonight. And again, chat, you can communicate what you thought the biggest takeaway was. I can go first if you want to think about it. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay.
I have like 2, so I'm kind of torn between which one I should say.
My biggest takeaway is that if you get the ball in Rashad White or Chip Trainum's hands, no matter if it's a screen, it's a swing, or you're just handing the ball off, good things will happen. As I've mentioned this whole show, the patience exhibited by these running backs is not only the notions of an experienced running back and confident running back, but it's also just what a smart and talented running back does. And Rashad White, with his speed, even though he has the afterburners and can fire them on, he's so patient. You always see him if it's a deep handoff or even if it's just a dive, he takes that extra second to kind of read what's open. This A gap is supposed to be the hole that's open, but if it's not, where am I going? And on that touchdown that sealed the game, you saw him. I think it was just supposed to be a design run up the middle, and he stopped, planted his foot, gave a little hezzy, and was like, the outside, that's where I'm going. And I don't know if that was by design or that's just him being a great natural runner, but good things happen when they touch the ball. The stats on their running was pretty even, I believe. Yeah, Rashad White, 9 carries for 69 yards, 2 touchdowns. Chip Trainum, 15 carries, 62 yards, 1 touchdown. Trainum got more of the heavy work as we expected, as we've talked about. It's the change of pace back that makes this duo so good with Rashad Speed and Chips, like absolute bulldozer of strength. I really, really enjoyed what I saw from both of them tonight. So good things happen when you give them the ball.
So my biggest takeaway tonight, I think, is going to be the Zach Hill offensive playbook and how much it allowed the offense to really open up and just let loose. And they really, in my opinion, were like, they just took the most chances on first downs. Obviously that's when you want to take the most chances. But ASU actually utilized them. They didn't just, go for something small. They went for it. They went big and they committed. And I say that because 217 of ASU's 274 total yards in the first half came on first down plays.
That's a good stat. Yeah. The most frustrating thing as a fan and just a viewer watching the sport, even if you don't have no skin in the fight, is watching a team run the ball blindly on first down and get 2 yards to set up the run, which is something that ASU could do. They could definitely do that. They could choose to run the ball on first down and pick up 3 to set up play action on second down or to take a shot on second down. And they have the talent to be able to do that, but they don't, because they've been more creative and they know that it's working and that they're willing to take shots even when they don't have to. Jake Hart's put it perfectly. When ASU doesn't beat themselves, they can beat any team on their schedule. They have that much talent, and I think they do at almost every level. I mean, the wide receiver room is deep. It's young. As we said last week, Johnny Wilson was the one that stepped up last week, and Ricky Pearsall stepped up this week. And I think we just need to dial it back on saying that there needs to be that one guy. There just needs to be that one guy each game. It doesn't have to be consistent. And then you go to defense. Every single level has that guy, that elite player, Darren Butler, and Merlin Robertson as linebackers, DJ Davidson on the front, Jack Jones and Chase Lucas on the corner. I mean, they have guys. They have those guys, and that's what you need to succeed in such a tough Pac-12 that, frankly, just beats up on each other and spoils each other late in the season. This time it happened earlier to Oregon, but
dude, the Pac-12 is literal cannibalism.
It's just so mean. It's so mean. There's just no room for
also can we just to throw a little bit of shade at Saul, because Saul wanted to be like, ASU's not winning out. Nonsense.
Well, they haven't won out yet. This was probably the hardest game on their slate.
But I just someone's a very, very salty Wildcats fan whose team is not going to win for more than 2 years. So
I'm going to stay away from this. I'm going to retreat back in my little turtle shell. But
So what if ASU does win out? Then what? Then
maybe we make him eat the Jake's flakes.
You never know. Watch ASU's one loss this year be to BYU, and BYU become the national champs. Boom, Bailey, I just called it. Done.
Bailey, you're right. Good night for ASU athletics. ASU hockey won. You love to see it. We talked about it a little bit last show with Craig Morgan. I'm really excited for the last dance that is Oceanside Arena. Despite the rat problems.
Going tomorrow. I'm gonna go tomorrow. Get a little video for our show on Tuesday.
All right. Well, anything else you'd like to add before we get out of here, Britt?
That
was the quickest 47 minutes. I think I blacked out a little bit by celebrating.
I got so excited that I got sweaty while I was sitting here talking.
Oh, one more takeaway that I saw, that one bad takeaway, since we have so many good takeaways. So as I mentioned, pressure was the way you get to DTR, and you saw him on that 3rd and 5 throw an errant pass that was deflected, or I don't even think it was deflected. I think it was just incomplete. Then they had to punt in that 3rd quarter. The next drive, the same situation, 3rd and 5, no pressure at all. They bring 3, I think, drop back into coverage, and he completes like a 25-yard pass. That's something that I think the defensive play calling was a little weird tonight. But with a unicorn guy like DTR, I think it's hard to game plan and come up with a consistent victory against an X factor like him. So that's the only other gripe and bad takeaway I have. Other than that, I thought it was a very complete game in the second half. The first half was a little shaky, but overall, you have to be happy with going into the Rose Bowl and winning by more than by double digits, and winning securely with the game being over with like 10 minutes to go in the 4th.
The last time I was at the Rose Bowl, it was for the 2019 game, and I was with Joe Healy, and these UCLA fans that were sitting a couple rows in front of us kept turning around, and like their shit talking made no sense because it wasn't like actual like insults. It was weird. Like, and I want to say they were like smart, like trying to outsmart us. They were just like dorky nerds. And Joe got so pissed off, he told them, like, you don't have the authority to talk to me anymore. And they, like, didn't talk to us the rest of the game and, like, stopped bothering us. It was weird. They're just weird fans. I don't know.
All right. Well, Sun Devils fans, I hope we're feeling well. Go out and celebrate this win on a nice Saturday night. We'll be back in studio on Tuesday to talk Stanford and other ASU athletics, ASU hockey, volleyball, soccer updates, as well as a brief preview into Stanford and what's to come. But good win tonight. Super fun game to watch. Excited for the rest of the year. And I'm just ready. Britt, anything else?
Nothing for me to add. No.
Cool. Cheers, Sun Devil fans. Have a good night. Peace.
See y'all later.